relationships can kind of distort our perception. You know, there's lots of feelings and emotions and chemicals. That special treatment is going to fade once the honeymoon phase starts to fade. Huge red flag. Huge red flag. Yep. Mic drop. Except I'm not going to drop the mic because that would make a huge noise. Take off those rose-colored glasses, get out of the fantasy in your head, and see them for who they really are. Wow, I got really heated on that. Okay. Hello guys. Yes, I'm speaking into a gold fucking microphone today. I wanted to try stepping up the audio quality for you guys. So let me know if you can hear a difference. I wanted to do another chatty, relationship-y, love advice kind of video because I love talking about these subjects. It's just such fun videos for me to film. So that is what we are bringing to you today. Let's talk about how to avoid getting played. How to stop finding yourself in toxic as fuck scenarios where people use you, make you feel like shit. Basically just love advice to keep you sane and to keep you from entering into unhealthy relationship dynamics because we hate a fucking unhealthy relationship dynamic. So I'm gonna give you some of my best advice from my 22 years of life experience. Realistically, I've not been dating for 22 years. That's how long I've been alive. How many years of experience do I have? Maybe 6? Not that many. Anyway, if you want to turn your whole love life around, if you want to stop getting played by stupid assholes, keep on watching. Also, I'm going to be talking about this in terms of guys, men, because that is what I have experience with. But obviously, all of this advice is universally applicable. You know, anyone can be a player. And I'm going to help you avoid it. Okay. Piece of advice number 1. When they show you who they are, believe them. It seems obvious, but so many of us don't do this. And I think that the reason why is when we enter into relationships, we have a tendency to put on rose-colored glasses. We want to see the best in people. We want to build up this whole fantasy about who this person is, what our relationship with them can be, to the point where we ignore giant red flags, very obvious warning signs, because we just don't want to believe it. We don't want to come to terms with those things. But we really need to take those blinders off because even if someone is, you know, really good at faking it, even if they're trying to pretend to be someone they're not, pieces of their character will slip through the cracks. And if you're willing to see and be honest with yourself about those bad characteristics, you can save yourself from a lot of hurt down the line. So obviously sometimes people show us who they are through their actions. So maybe they show that they're neglectful or they're not really that into you. Maybe they aren't making time for you or they're prioritizing other things, other people above you. Maybe they're always making excuses, not very thought out excuses to avoid spending time with you. It could be any of these things. And if you take the time to actually take off your blinders and see these obvious warning signs, it'll do you a whole lot of good. People might be manipulative, people might be good at hiding things, but at the end of the day, a lot of times people will show you their true character if you only have the ability to see that for what it is. Another way that people could be revealing their true character to you is in their words. This can be a lot more blatant, and even though I feel like it's more rare than the actions one, you'd be surprised by how often players or assholes or whatever make it so clear that they're bad news from the way they talk about themselves. People know themselves better than anyone, right? So one of the craziest things that we do when we catch feelings for someone or when we get interested in someone is blatantly denying or even trying to argue with what someone says about themselves, what they say about their own character. I've literally had somebody say things like, I can't make you happy, I'm no good for you, I'm unhealthy for you, I'm not good enough for you, I'm not as good of a person as you think I am, no, I'm a piece of shit, I'm the worst, all this stuff. In response, I would say things like, no, you're not. You can make me happy. You're such a great person. Why would I, someone who has known a guy for a couple months in a romantic context, know their character better than they know themselves after waking up in their own body for 20 plus years of their life? Make it make sense. And this is common. I've heard lots of stories of people doing this, basically making excuses for somebody, trying to convince them that they're better than they think they are. At the end of the day, if someone's saying they're bad news, if they're saying they're unhealthy, they're toxic, they're damaged, they're no good for you, listen to them. And if they're constantly showing through their actions that they don't care or that they're a shitty person, Believe them. Believe them the first time or the second time, not after they've had to show you 600 times their true character for you to actually take off those rose-colored glasses, get out of the fantasy in your head, and see them for who they really are. Wow, I got really heated on that. Okay. Piece of advice number 2, also very important. Do not let somebody talk you out of your boundaries. This is so, so important. Our boundaries are essential. This can mean in terms of what you're willing to do and not willing to do, how fast you want to move in a relationship. And it can also mean just like your standards, what you expect from a person, the amount of affection you need, the amount of commitment you need, things like this. These are essential to maintaining your well-being and the health of a relationship. If somebody is trying to talk you out of these things or trying to say that they know better, that they have a better idea of what you need and what's good for you than you do, huge red flag. Huge red flag. One, because it shows they're a bit of a manipulator, that they're trying to change you, that they're trying to get you to do things that you don't want to do, which is obviously bad. I mean, it shows that they don't respect you. It shows that they don't view you as an empowered individual. But also, you can really, really lose yourself if you start to bend on some of those core beliefs, some of those core standards that you set when you were more, I want to say, clear-minded before you entered a relationship, because it really is true that unfortunately, relationships can kind of distort our perception. You know, there's lots of feelings and emotions and chemicals and stuff going on that can really keep us from seeing clearly. So having those guidelines from before you got into the relationship of what you were looking for and what you will and will not do in a relationship, like holding on to those is essential. So do not let someone talk you out of them. Don't let someone shift that. It doesn't mean that you have to be super close-minded. It doesn't mean you can't change your mind, but make sure that you're staying true to you and you're existing as an individual with her own set of standards and expectations. Yep. Mic drop. Except I'm not going to drop the mic because that would make a huge noise. Anyway, this sort of goes off of my last point about boundaries, but it is do not agree to exclusivity too early. I am guilty of this. Here's the thing. A lot of times guys will try to get you into exclusivity pretty quickly. There's a lot of reasons that they might be doing this. One, they might be territorial or jealous and not want anyone else to be speaking to you or hooking up with you. Two, they might just be really rushed and hurried to lock you down as soon as possible. This, I think, is actually super common. I see it a lot where guys really just want to lock down their girl, and a lot of times, unfortunately, if they're not a great guy, they'll be super, super sweet and super affectionate and super lovey towards you, basically love bombing you, showering you in affection, up until the point where they get you to commit to them, whether that's getting you to commit to being exclusive or locking you down as a girlfriend, whatever it is. And then they'll stop trying because they know once you've committed, once you're emotionally invested, it might take you some time to get there. But once you are, they think that they can do whatever they want and you're locked in, you're committed, you're not going to leave them. It's really fucked up, but unfortunately it's really common. And unless you have a really good sense of a person's character and their true personality before getting into a romantic relationship with them, it's going to be hard for you to know whether or not that could happen. A huge word of advice is just stretch out the time where you're casually seeing each other before you commit to being exclusive or being in a relationship. Stretch out that time so you can get a better sense of their true personality past just the honeymoon stage where they're trying to impress you. You know, don't get into a relationship until you feel like you know them pretty well and you trust that they're not going to switch up their energy as soon as you commit to them. I also think it's important to notice if somebody is trying to convince you to commit to them, because in my mind that's a red flag. You know, they might be manipulating you, using emotional manipulation, using guilt tactics, making you feel guilty for not wanting to commit to them, saying, don't you like me? You know, it hurts me so much that we aren't exclusive. I hate the thought of seeing you with someone else. A lot of this stuff can be unhealthy manipulation and can rush you into a relationship you don't want to be in. So make sure that when you make a decision to commit to somebody, it is your decision and it's because you feel solid about the relationship, you really like the person, and you're genuinely all in. You never want to be convinced into a commitment, because if you're resisting, if your core is telling you, I don't want to be in this relationship, there's probably a reason. You know, you have the answers within yourself. You know, somewhere deep down, you know whether or not this is a healthy thing for you or not, and honor it. If you're resisting, feel free to take your time, communicate that you need more time, and just in general, wait until you feel confident that you know this person pretty well to commit to them. A great way to like get a better sense of someone's true character is to look at their friends, look at how other people in their lives speak about them that are platonic. Because if you're in a romantic relationship with somebody and you didn't know them previously, if they like you, if they're attracted to you, they're treating you probably different than they're treating everyone else in their life. That special treatment is going to fade once the honeymoon phase starts to fade. So knowing how they treat the people that they care about and love in their everyday life is essential for long-term success in a relationship, because it's a better indication of how they're going to treat you long-term than how they treat you at the beginning when they're trying to win you over and lock you down. We really over-romanticize this idea of dating someone who's only sweet to you, you know, taming the bad boy and making him love you and all this crazy shit. You know, we romanticize this idea of being the only person that this guy is kind to. But ultimately, that's not going to last forever. Eventually, they're going to start treating you like shit, because that is the standard for how they treat people in their lives. Once they no longer feel like they have to treat you special, they're going to probably default closer to what they treat people in general. So looking at someone's character in their day-to-day life, how they interact with strangers, how they interact with friends, that is a great way to get a sense of someone's true personality and character when you're trying to assess them as a potential romantic partner. Because again, the way they're treating you right now is kind of different, is kind of being affected by the honeymoon phase and the hormones and the excitement and all of that. You'll notice that a lot of the advice that I'm giving in this video has to do with these early stages. And the reason why that's the case is because I really feel like a lot of the times when we feel like we're backstabbed or we're betrayed or we're played, it's really just because we were ignoring some of those early warning signs. You know, we didn't want to accept the red flags. We didn't take enough time getting to know the person. We jumped into the relationship too early. It's because we didn't really assess them as a human being objectively and smartly. This is not me saying that every time you've been played is your fault. I don't believe that at all. Sometimes people are just shitty. Sometimes it does come out of nowhere, but the best thing that you can do to try and avoid it is just being smarter in those beginning stages and really keeping your eyes open to see the red flags, to see the warning signs, and to stop things before they can get to the point where you're emotionally invested. Okay, this is just a huge mindset thing that is essential for maintaining your sense of independence and not allowing yourself to become too dependent on this other person. And that is to always have the mentality, I don't need this person, I just want this person. This is powerful, and it's something that I instate in every single one of my relationships nowadays, because once you truly believe that the only person you need is you and that everyone else in your life is just someone you've added to give extra value, extra joy to your life, once you feel like you don't need anybody, it gets rid of a lot of those dark negative feelings of my mood is dependent on whether or not I'm getting along with this person. My life is dependent on keeping this person. Get rid of all of that, and you can have a lot more of a level-headed, high standards approach to your dating life. Feeling like you need somebody just reeks of desperate energy, and desperate energy breeds toxicity like it's its job. You don't want that. You don't want to have desperate energy. So just have the mentality of, you know, the people in my life, they're there because they're adding to my life. If they were to stop adding to my life, I wouldn't need them. I could get rid of them, because at the end of the day, the only thing I need is me. The reason why we stay with people that are toxic, that are making us miserable, is because we feel on some level like we need them in our lives. Like we wouldn't know who we were without them. We wouldn't know what to do without them. Once you get rid of that, you can really focus on, okay, is this person treating me properly? Are they making me feel special? Are they giving some positive joy to my life? And if that's not the case, you can cut them out. So yeah, I'm a big believer of maintaining this mentality that you don't need anyone. And this way, even if you do get played or if something goes wrong in a relationship, you still have that solid core of independence and feeling strong. And that doesn't mean that you won't be sad. It doesn't mean that you won't feel heartbroken or whatever, but it won't wreck you. You won't leave the relationship feeling embarrassed and foolish. You'll just know, hey, I showed up as the best version of myself. This person could not step up to the plate, but I know I had a healthy mentality about the relationship, and ultimately they just were not a positive part of my life. And that's okay. And I'll find someone else because I don't need them. It just makes the whole thing feel a whole lot better. And it also keeps you from ignoring a lot of those early red flags, because you know that you don't need this person. So without that sense of desperation and intense longing to keep someone in your life, you can be a lot more objective and realistic about how good of a boyfriend are they? Are they checking your boxes? If they're not, you're going to be a lot less scared or terrified to break up with them. So I want to finish out this video talking about 2 red flags that unfortunately might be a bit of a brutal wake-up call because they are very common. They are very common things that we like to ignore. Number 1, if they're sending mixed signals, it's a no. I can't tell you how many times I've heard girls be like, well, they do this, but then they're really sweet to me, but then they ignore me for 5 days. It's like, bro, when you genuinely like someone, you will give them time, you will give them attention, you want to hang out with them, you want to be around them. There's no confusion. If someone's giving you mixed signals, it's because they want to keep you in their back pocket. They don't really like you on a genuine level. Maybe you're entertainment for them. Maybe they just want to lead you on so that they can continue getting attention and affection from you. I know that this is the case because I've been the person on the other side. I've been the one giving mixed signals, and it was because I didn't genuinely like those people. And if I had, I would have been head over heels putting in the effort. If someone's giving you minimum effort and mixed signals, it's because they're just trying to drag you along, and you deserve better than that. Another huge thing, if you feel like you have to strategize or play games to be with somebody or to keep someone's attention, it's no good. It's not healthy because, one, what type of good relationship starts with games, right? But also, if they are hot and cold, if you feel like you need to constantly be winning them over, if you feel like you have to play hard to get to keep their attention, again, they must not really like you, because you wouldn't have to play all those crazy games if they genuinely liked your personality. If you feel like you have to fake certain elements of your personality or act a certain way or plan out how long it's going to take you in between text messages so that you create just the right amount of tension and leave them waiting for your response, like, you shouldn't have to do all that shit. If you have to do all that shit, it's a toxic relationship. This obviously is if they are making you feel this way with their actions. If you genuinely feel like you have to do these steps, you have to play these games to keep their attention, that's toxic. However, there is also the side of you might be playing games because you're insecure, because you're not comfortable fully being yourself, because you don't want to be vulnerable, and that is more of a personal issue that you need to work on. And once you're able to actually show your authentic self and put forth a genuine amount of effort, then you can really see whether or not they're willing to accept your genuine self and whether it's actually healthy. But just in general, nothing good starts from games, so don't play them. Okay. I've been there, you know? I've taken 8 minutes to respond because they took 8 minutes to respond. I've seen a message and pretended I didn't. It's not worth it. I hope this helped you avoid getting played by boys. If I can spare one person from the drama, then I feel like my work is done. I hope you guys have the most incredible day. I will see you again next Friday for another video. I really love talking about these types of things, so if you have any requests for other topics you want me to dive into in sort of like a chatty format like this, let me know. Let me know how you guys like the microphone quality. I will see you next Friday. I love you so very much, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.